Now I want to discuss the center counter defense, or also what is known as the Scandinavian defense. And this is a king's pawn opening, which starts off by e4, and then black plays d5. And why does black play d5? Well, black wants to neutralize this e4 pawn right away. So, there's a couple strategies that I discussed in many lectures ago about black fighting toe for toe in the center, with like the Roy Lopez and the Italian defense, or there's the Sicilian defense, things like that. But here, black's strategy is to neutralize the e4 pawn right away. And most of the time, white will take this pawn. It's like 94% of the time white will play e takes d5. So you can almost bet that if you're playing black, that white's going to take it. So now black has two main options, and I'm going to discuss. The first one is what I call the main line, where queen takes the pawn back, queen takes d5. The other move, which is called the Marshall Gambit, is where black plays knight to f6. So first let's look at just basically how does it play out. So like I said, on the main line, queen takes d5, and now white will play knight to c3, basically attacking, so white gets in a nice developing move and attacks the queen at the same time. So now the queen has to move away, and most of the time, black is going to play queen to a5. There's different moves available. Probably the two most other common moves are queen to d6, moving back, queen to d8. I've played that one just to mix it up. But most of the time, people are going to play queen to a5. And now white will play d4. That's what white wants to do anyways, right? When he plays king pawn openings, is to play d4. It gets pawn in the center, helps control this square here. Helps this control this square here and frees this bishop. And gives more scope to the queen too. And then black will normally play knight to f6, a developing move. White will play knight to f3. Black plays c6, basically limiting the knight. Now the knight cannot move to either of these squares. But c6 does take away the move, knight to c6 now. White will play bishop to c4, getting its bishop out. It's unprotected, which is always a thing you have to watch for, but it prepares castling. Black will play bishop to f5, and now white will play bishop to d2. Now watch this, now white is threatening to move this knight here and to expose an attack upon the queen. But black will play e6 anyways. And this is a very common formation for black, where you actually see the pawns situated like this. Because now, if you look at it, if this bishop here were over here, it'd sort of be trapped in like in the French defense, but it's outside and of what they call the pawn chain, and if it wanted to, it could just exchange itself off, and now this black bishop can get out. So that's as far as I'm going to take that line. I'm going to back up to the Marshall Gambit. This is where we were before the queen took. You know, this was the prior move, but I'm just backing up. And the next move, which is called the Marshall Gambit, where black plays knight f6. So let's see what that looks like. And now white will play d4. Sort of very similar to the main line. Now the knight takes. And it's sort of a, this knight is sitting, you know, for the time being on a nice square. That's, you know, the best places for the knight to be, it's called centralizing your knights, meaning you'd want them to be, you know, on these 4 squares where they, you know, where they can almost hop to anywhere on the board quickly as possible, and where they sort of have their most power in chess. So that's for right now, black's knight is in a very good position. White will play knight f3, and now black will play g6, preparing to play the bishop to g7. White plays bishop e2, preparing the castle. Black plays bishop g7. Now both sides will castle. Now white will play c4, basically telling the knight to move away, get away. I don't want you on the center. And also white itself is helping to control a central square. Knight to b6. White plays knight to c3, a developing move. Black will play a developing move, and now attacking this pawn here for a 3rd time. So now white will play d5, and now the knight moves to e5, and now white will simply exchange off the knight. Okay, and so that's the basic 2 lines in the center counter or the Scandinavian defense. Okay,